Good morning, Twitch.tv. Good morning to YouTube as well. And of course, good morning, mini Motorways. We are off to Tokyo for today's daily challenge, where we will start with 3 motorways. Very nice. And the trees can't be destroyed, which is fine. It's fine. It's cute. They're pretty. It's very pretty trees in Tokyo. I'm a big fan of the color palette here. All right, you spawn that away. We'll readjust this. There. 2 houses, and we've already had to redraw the road once. Great. Wonderful. Amazing. I love that for me. Really. Oh, it is Monday, and more specifically, it is the day after AEW's biggest show of the year. So yes, there will be programs talk today. Yesterday was All In, AEW's biggest show of the year from Wembley Stadium in beautiful London, England. Y'all know the deal, sort of, maybe? I don't know. I gather that the viewership of the channel is not necessarily very pro wrestling, but you know, I am, so deal with it. These pinks will hop over this tree here, get over that away, that'll be fine. Good morning, Petas19. Good to see you here. I have to say, before the show yesterday, there was some conversation in a Discord server I'm in. We'll take a couple traffic lights here. Oh, hi. That's not great. I don't love that. Let's see here. We've got another pink has spawned here. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually run pinks this way so that these 2 will go under these immovable trees, get up this way, service this business. Meanwhile, these 2 will wait because the map hasn't expanded yet. Alright, well, in the long run, the map's going to expand and this is going to be just fine. In the short run, we're going to do this terrible thing. Like, eventually we're going to be able to go up and over this tree and down in this way. In fact, I'm going to pre-build for such an eventuality right here. In the meantime, we've got this perfectly cromulent traffic light to have cars swerve left or go up to the right, and it'll work. It's not going to be particularly nice to look at, it's not going to be particularly friendly, but at least until the map expands and we can go up and over this little hump right here, it'll have to be fine. So I was in a Discord server yesterday, and a friend of mine, a friend I respect a lot, host of Mets podcast, is a good dude. He said that he realized that All In this year was just going to be a mid-2010s WrestleMania. And he said that in a very derogatory fashion. You know how sometimes you say something and they're compliments, and sometimes you put the parentheses derogatory? Yeah, this was a mid-2010s WrestleMania, parentheses derogatory. And you know what? He's not wrong. He's absolutely not wrong. We're going to take motorway number 1, slide up this way. Just by virtue of being a pro wrestling show in a big stadium, there's always the risk, right? And listen, there are lots of different ways to do professional wrestling, but at a certain level, any pro wrestling show is going to feel at least a little bit like WWE. And any big pro wrestling show in a big stadium starts when the sun's out and then the sun goes down over the course of the day, it's going to feel at least a little bit like WrestleMania. However, having that thought and having had that thought be put out there, that last night's episode of Dynamite, AEW All In, was a very, 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 very good WrestleMania, basically. And not just in the sense that it was a good wrestling show that happened at a stadium. No, it was almost beat for beat a very good WrestleMania. And listen, I'm a person who grew up watching WWE. I'm a person who still enjoys the idea of a very, very good WrestleMania. There has not been a very, very good WrestleMania since... I mean, you could argue that the last very good WrestleMania was WrestleMania 30. I think there are WWE fans who will tell you that more recent WrestleMania have been good, but, you know, there are WWE fans who will tell you that the Bloodline story is good, and I know that's not true. So, I kind of don't trust WWE fans to analyze WWE, which is kind of a problem with everything when you think about it. But I feel as though I digress. Now then, I'm gonna take a motorway, because if I have the opportunity to take a motorway and I pass up a motorway, I get yelled at, which is good. It's the correct thing to do, to yell at a person who passes up a motorway without very good extenuating circumstances. Those very good extenuating circumstances might have included taking a roundabout to get things into position, but I don't know. So what I'm doing here, we've got these two light blue houses. They're going to swing up around and take care of this. I should have paved this island. Fuck. Didn't. All right. These two yellows here, we'll grab motorway number 2, slide in that away. And now we're just in the business of repositioning yellows and motorways. There we go. All right, the three of you converge on a spot. Off you go. So I've got these two light blue houses swinging up and around into the side of this business. That means I can take these two, who are on motorway number 1, and make motorway number 1 the dinkiest motorway. And by making motorway number 1 the dinkiest motorway, we now have 4 houses charged with the care and support of this light blue circle, which is good. It's a number that you can support. We'll take motorway number 3, we'll slide it out here. So, when AEW started, way back in 2019, one of its selling points, like part of the reason AEW exists, is that WWE has been dog shit terrible for, at that point, it was going on a decade. WWE has since continued to largely be dog shit terrible for another 5 years. So part of the selling point of All Elite Wrestling, just as a concept that that one would think you have to kind of accept in order to just grok the premise. In order to get there, you have to understand that WWE has been dog shit terrible for 15 years. This despite being the biggest and most popular professional wrestling company in the world. They had a lot of built-in advantages. They were kind of built on built-in advantages. And then they got really hot and good in the 1990s, and they rode that momentum for 20 years or so. And then the media marketplace fell the fuck apart, but their ratings kind of held steady. So now every massive media company in the world is bending over backwards to throw them hundreds of millions of dollars to produce terminable amounts of their awful, desperate slop. This is kind of a thing you have to know in order to understand that WWE has been dogshit terrible for 15 years, which is part of the reason All Elite Wrestling exists. So, part of the selling point for AEW, especially at the beginning, was that it had and would present just about every kind of professional wrestling, except for WWE's particular brand of bullshit. Because after all, WWE's particular brand of bullshit has been the dominant force in the American pro wrestling scene for the last 15 years. Well, it turns out that WWE's particular brand of bullshit is very profitable for WWE, and there are people who choose to believe that it's because of the particular brand of bullshit, not just that WWE was the biggest and only game in the professional wrestling scene for functionally 15 years, or that the media marketplace surrounding WWE cratered while WWE cratered more slowly, and, you know, they wound up getting hundreds of millions of dollars from desperate media partners, and now it's just a rock rolling downhill. Nope. It's gotta be because they're doing something right. So over the years, let's see here. Peters19 notes that there's a way to get motorway number 1 back. And I can have these pinks. Oh, you have a point. Well, I think you have sort of a point in that we can get these two pinks to kind of voop and around and up and dupe into here, which would in turn free up this corridor and allow me to staple these three houses to this road without the use of motorway number 1. That is true. However, I also note that this circle needs a little bit more love than it's currently getting. So, yeah, if I was to do this, right, I could do something like this and get these pinks into here and then run the light blues up this way. However, as previously stated, this circle only has 2 houses supporting it right now, and I don't think we like that. I don't think that's tenable. I think we need to tend something else. In fact, I think what we're going to do is grab these 2 pinks from right here, bop and bop, destroy that. Yeah. Before this went circular, that was a much more feasible idea. Now, I think we're going to start with something like this. This has 4 pink houses going up this way. Meanwhile, these 2 pinks right here will support this business. So WWE's particular brand of bullshit is very profitable and successful for them, which must mean it's good, right? And also, there are an awful lot of people who used to work for WWE and now work for AEW. And part of that is because WWE is stupid and doesn't know how to properly use their talent. And another part of that is that WWE is an awful company run by terrible people and doesn't know how to not abuse their talent. And part of that is just that WWE churns through people very quickly. All Elite Wrestling has hired all of these people, actually. Pretty much. Just all of them. Which means, if you've been watching All Elite Wrestling, you have seen, over the past couple of years particularly, they have just adopted more and more and more of the particular style, mannerisms, tropes, general vibe of WWE. To the point where last night they basically just did a WrestleMania. Had a big stadium show, had a 2-hour pregame show with a panel of experts sitting at a desk hosted by Renee Paquette. Doing pretty much the exact same thing, queuing up video segments. Let's throw to one of the random backstage interview chicks. She's going to do a segment, and then we'll throw to another video package. And then we'll hear what Jeff Jarrett has to say about a thing. See, it's different because it's what Jeff Jarrett has to say about a thing instead of what Booker T has to say a thing. This is the kind of, like, the difference beyond a very certain level is just, well, you know, RJ City would have never gotten into WWE. And listen, that's true. WWE is dumb. I like RJ City. RJ City is doing the same basic shit that, you know, JBL would do on a WWE pre-show. It's just, well, for one, I guess JBL isn't with WWE anymore because he's showing up on indie shows now. It's weird. Who the fuck is booking JBL for your indie show? Do you people not read? Did JBL issue a sincere apology for his decades of locker room shitheadedness when I wasn't looking? Or are y'all just dumb? I think y'all are just dumb. This is my JBL tangent. Anyway, the fuck am I going to do about this light blue business? This light blue business is a problem. Don't even have a roundabout to theoretically, like, staple here. We might just have a problem. We might just have a rather significant life-ending problem. Well, that wouldn't be bad. All right, well, let's see here. So these 2 houses are actually doing a reasonable job sustaining the life force of this business here, which is good. If that's the case, then I could theoretically take Farganugan. I have no idea what I'm doing. What if we put these two light blues here and then did this, hi Nora, awful, terrible thing. Behold how awful and terrible this thing is. And then we motorway number 1 down to here. So these light blues spawn on this road, turn left with this perfectly cromulent traffic light into just the worst angle to turn in the history of the world. They come down this way, they go up that way. I mean, it functions. It is by no means any fucking good, isn't that? Is my leg? Don't jump up and claw my leg. Hi! Hi, what do you want? What do you want? I fed you. You have food and water and a place to poo, which I realize I should probably clean.
Hear ye. Let the record show that this viewer was here first.
Sunflare Space was here first. Good afternoon, Sonny. Oh, God. Listen, Peters, you didn't hit the button. History shall reflect that Sunflare Space was here first. I don't know what to tell you, man. Sonny was here first. It is recorded for all of time. All right, let's go. Where was I going with this? All right, so you've got your pregame show with your panel of experts hosted by Renee Paquette, and they throw backstage to Kayla Braxton, Lexi Nair, and Kathy Kelly, Arcady Aura. It's the same basic people doing the same basic shit. And then you have your actual wrestling show. And first, you have, a sort of heated mid-card feud on the pre-show, and then you have a couple of let's get a bunch of dudes on the show matches on your pre-show, and then you do, hey, welcome to WrestleMania, welcome to All In! And you show your crowd, and you do your stadium, and there's pyro and ballyhoo, and then you have all your matches. And listen, this was a good WrestleMania, right? So because this was a good WrestleMania, you had a bunch of good matches. You had a bunch of good matches with good wrestlers doing good wrestling, some of which had silly random ladder bullshit, and some of which had silly gimmick weapon bullshit, and there was a lot of forced laughter, and a lot of, haha, it's so great, see, Chris Jericho's hitting him with a cricket ball, that's funny, that's humorous to me. And then, a bunch of good guys won and some titles changed hands. But because this is also a good WrestleMania, you had the Casino Gauntlet match, which is just the Royal Rumble, right? AEW has realized that they can just steal the Royal Rumble if, 1, they don't call it the Royal Rumble, and 2, they have pinfalls instead of over-the-top rope eliminations, which is fine. You know what that is? That's a great way to have a bunch of big names do shit in your match and then not have to beat them. Which, oh my god, is Tony Khan's favorite thing. If he could have 1,000 wrestlers and not have to beat any of them ever, oh, Tony Khan would be so fucking happy as a booker. I'm old enough to remember in All Elite Wrestling where every match had a fair finish and it was okay for someone to lose every once in a while. But, that doesn't make $1 billion from Saudi Arabia or whatever Tony's fucking chasing. I digress. The Casino Gauntlet match literally does fucking rule, though. I tell you what, if this was WWE, next year, AEW would have a pay-per-view just called Casino Gauntlet match, where the selling point is that there will be a Casino Gauntlet match. I think what they should do is put it on Double or Nothing, and the winner gets a title shot at All In, but, if they were gonna go full WWE, they would just have a pay-per-view called Casino Gauntlet match. So I don't think they'll do that. They already have 2 pay-per-views based off of gambling puns, and part of being WWE is trying to be so super duper PG, even though the product you're presenting is professional fucking wrestling, so they might get a little skittish about gambling. On the other hand, DraftKings, so what do I know? This beigeness exists over here. It's largely fine, even though it only has one house. I have 90 spare road tiles. Given that I have 90 spare road tiles, we can probably afford to do like extra things. Also, we're going to need to do that, in fact, because now this beigeness exists. So these two over here will support this. This over here will support that. That's even better than supporting that. See? Everything's great until it's not. You come up over here, you go down there. Whoop-de-doo. Now, where was I going with this? Oh, right. So because this was a good WrestleMania, you had a bunch of silly multi-man matches that were largely fun. You had a couple of women's matches, only one of which sucked a little. And you had some big debuts and returns. Now, part of the problem is, one thing that WWE does, or did very well, is control the media and the narrative for the last 15 years, so you didn't hear much about the backstage rumblings, and you didn't have things like, hey, there's this partnership that has existed for 3 years, and some of the people involved haven't been on TV this whole time, but we've established these characters have always been friends. One of the people has been out for like a year and a quarter, but is gonna make her big return on this show. Her friend is in a match. Are we gonna have her interact with her friend in any way? No! Why not? Because she and her friend had a real life falling out to the point where they can't or won't exist on a screen together. It's not a thing that happens in modern WWE. One can argue that WWE is just better at hiding it. One can also argue that Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, I don't know which one's at fault here, although I have my suspicions. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter just need to fucking be professionals and fucking work together. Fucking 3-year storyline just out the fucking window because these fucking children can't work together. I digress. Anyway. So these two purples are going to get stapled to motorway number 3. They're going to go over here, and that's going to be a good substitute for me doing anything actually helpful here, because I don't actually have anything helpful to do. What we'll do is we'll extend this road. I don't have another motorway, or else I'd involve these blues here. We're going to grab you over here. We're going to swing this up that way. Okay. So you four just go over here. It is. Listen. All In was a really, really, really good show. It was, again, and I will say this for the umpteenth time, it was a really good mid-2010s WrestleMania. Listen. WrestleMania 30 was a mid-2010s WrestleMania, and it was one of the best WrestleMania. It was, again, one could argue, the last really good WrestleMania. There was a time when AEW aspired to higher heights than we're gonna do WWE, but like really well. And listen, I'm a person who grew up watching WWE. If your company is just gonna be WWE but done really well, I'll accept that. I'll watch that. It would be nice if it wasn't all of WWE. Like, if you could somehow hit, we're gonna do the big fancy, ultra great production value entertainment stuff, and we're gonna have really good video packages, and we're gonna have entertaining characters, but also we're gonna have wrestling matches that are worth a shit, and we're gonna not have stupid overcomplicated angles all the time, and also every once in a while a person is just gonna be better than another person at wrestling, and therefore they're gonna win the wrestling match. That would also be nice. I could take that just every once in a while as a treat, but, you take what you get, I suppose. So, we have a problem. The problem specifically is this nonsense here. And how we're going to solve that nonsense there is we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to listen to a lo-fi mix of Good Charlotte's The Anthem, because that's what we do now. These 3 dark blues are going to go over here, And listen, just like the best of the very good mid-2010s WrestleManias, WrestleMania 30, this one ended with Bryan Danielson tapping a dude out to win the world title. Any wrestling show that ends with Bryan Danielson tapping a dude out to win the world title is at least somewhat good and worth observing. And listen, AEW All In ended with Bryan Danielson tapping a dude out and winning the world title. It is therefore justified. Its existence is valid. It occurs to me that I can loop these light blues up and over like so, into here, over to there, waboosh, and then having wabooshed, we can kill motorway number 1. Having done that, we can kill this traffic light and this road, and once we get motorway number 1 back, I shouldn't have killed it, I should have just swung it, we can redraw motorway number 1 just like that. Off we go. You go there. You go there. So listen, if you are a person who has watched a ton of professional wrestling and cannot stomach the thought of watching more mid-2010s WWE, even if it's done really, really well, I understand why you would be kinda out on AEW right now. It is basically mid-2010s WWE, but done really, really well. And that's not for everyone. It's not, in fact, what AEW was built on. But, you know, it's fine. It is fine in the, semi-pejorative, this is just kind of okay sense. It is fine in that regard. So, it's got that going for it. Now, we have a problem. And the problem is this purple business. This purple business exists, and I do have all of these purples over here, and in theory, I could, draw a road that comes down here and ducks down here, goes between these trees, goes over there. The problem is that that's actually beneath the bottom of the map, and I think we're done expanding here. I don't think we're going lower than this part here, so we're never going to be able to duck under here. And because we can't duck under here, there's no way to get through here, because as you can see, we just cannot destroy any of these trees. Which means that these trees and pink houses form a functionally impenetrable barrier between these purples and this business, which is a fucking problem. Unfortunately, the only solution I have to this fucking problem is to do this. We're going to run this motorway into a roundabout, and some of the purples are going to go there, and some of the purples are going to go here, and it's just going to have to be fine. It's just going to have to be funky-dory A-OK skis. Everything's gonna be fine. Gonna be totally A-OK, except for all of the parts that aren't A-OK, such as, for instance, this pink business, which had previously been subsisting with, 2 houses, but now has 3. Having 3 houses instead of 2 is good. It's literally a 50% increase in houses. So it's got that going for it. You are the worst and most annoying light blue I've ever seen in my life. How do you justify your existence, bud? What logic led you to this conclusion? What made you decide that this was an acceptable place for a person or a place or a thing to be? Did anyone get approval for this? Were there permits drawn? Did anyone see blueprints before they signed off on this crap? I don't think anyone signed off on this crap. I think someone just sort of did this. Someone just sort of built a house over here and was like, hey, come over to Light Blue's Shop of Fuckery. And nobody got a business permit that says you could open a store called Light Blue's Shop of Fuckery. But now, down on Elm Street, there's Light Blue's Shop of Fuckery, and we gotta deal with it. I was really hoping we'd get a motorway this weekend, because it would have helped me deal with light blue shop of fuckery hasn't worked out that way. So, how are we going to do this, I wonder? It's actually a very good question, Self. Self, how are we going to do this? Because we've got... Well, I do have 5 bridges. So that's nice. Is there anything currently motorwayed that could be bridged? Kind of looking at motorway number 5. Good morning, Leah Fireheart. It is Monday, which naturally means we're whining about wrestling. It's what we do. It's what we do on most days, including Monday. So, you see, the problem, again, is just this impenetrable pink barrier means that even though I have the bridges to get these dark blues, over here and bridge here and bridge here and bridge here, I can't actually get them in to this nonsense. So, motorway number 5 and motorway number 6 kind of need to exist, which isn't great. If I run these 3 over here, I can motorway number 1 over to here, but that'll just fuck over this, which is not a thing I want to do. We whine about wrestling whenever there's wrestling about which to whine, which usually means there's, we whine on Thursday because we watched the wrestling on Wednesday, but there was wrestling yesterday, so we get to whine today. It's fun. It's good. This is a very healthy habit. This is a good fandom cycle, basically, where your fandom basically exists to whine and complain about the thing you like. So, it's probably a legitimate problem, actually. Oh, well, it'll be fine. Speaking of things that are fine, the hell are we doing? I have no idea. I'm just going to screw over this business for a second. Hold on. I was going to say I'm just going to screw over this business for a second, but I think I might have actually stumbled on a legitimate answer. Leah Fireheart wants to remember a wrestling guy. A wrestling guy. Let's see. Let's remember Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle ruled. There was one terrifying moment where it looked like Kurt Angle might go to AEW, which would be bad these days because Kurt Angle is old and broke and hurt. Well, I don't know if he's broke in the sense that he has no money. I have no idea about his financial situation, but I know that he's old and hurt and his neck is fucked. So it would be bad both for Kurt Angle and AEW for Kurt Angle to be in AEW. But Kurt Angle fucking ruled. He was really good at this whole pro wrestling thing. He got it in a way that very few dudes who come from other sports to pro wrestling get it, which is funny because when he started, he absolutely did not get it. But eventually, Kurt Angle got it. All of these is, capital letters, capital G, capital I. Kurt Angle got it eventually. And he was really fucking good at it. Okay, so what I've done is we've rerouted these beiges to go down here straight into this roundabout. That in turn allows this light blue business here to be supported by just the one house down that way, which is suboptimal. Definitely not what you want, but limited options and all of that. We've also redrawn motorway number 1 so that these 1, 2, 3 light blue houses can support this business, and now it's not dying. It is in fact basically fine. I'm still very much not in love with the purple situation here. If I get one more motorway, I can basically solve it. I can just chop these 5 purples here off of this and have a motorway that goes there and a motorway that goes there and eliminate the need for this roundabout, which is good. That's a thing that you want. Until then, you have different problems. And by different problems, I mean a purple business. Hi there, a purple business. What are you doing? Nobody signed up for you. All right. You're there. That's gonna have to be fine. Here. Let's grab this purple off of this road here, and we're just gonna draw a silly little road that goes down and up and then through this dark blue neighborhood until it ends up in there. And now 1, 2, 3 purple houses will support this purple business. Is that great? No, absolutely not. But is it weird, strange, and different? Sure. It can be weird, strange, and different. This roundabout down here isn't even presently killing anything, which is nice. I don't know how long we're going to be able to say that, but it'll be okay until such time as it's not, of course. But again, like, this whole situation can be made much better with the addition of 1 and exactly 1 roundabout, which, of course, I don't really have. What I do have, however, is the ability to get creative here. By putting a 3rd yellow house over here, I sustain this business a little bit better, and then I can reposition motorway number 2 to draw from these 5 houses rather than the 3 right here, thereby extending the long-term viability of this business up here, which in the short term is very mad at me because I just took away its customer base. But once this motorway sorts itself out, C is going to get plenty of cars. And once you start getting plenty of cars, you're going to be A-okay. Also, hey, look at all of this. Hold on. Why did I do this ridiculous purple thing? Game, why did you let me do this ridiculous purple thing? This ridiculous purple thing doesn't need to exist. We have a different ridiculous purple thing, namely this. We slide that, like so, into here. 1, 2, 3, waboosh. Much simpler, much more efficient. Off you go. All right, give me another motorway. It's time to fix the purples. And by the purples, I actually mean everything. It's time to fix everything. So we're going to do this. And we're going to do this. And we're going to draw motorway number 7 over to here. These 4 purples right here will support this business. Doot. And doot, and doot, doot. You go over there. And yes, indeed, Leah, it is Would You Kindly today. We cannot destroy trees. Want to draw a road goes through that tree? Can't do it. So, we kill this roundabout. We straight shot all of these beiges. We take motorway number 3. Motorway can't attach to this intersection. The hell do you mean? Motorway number 3 is presently attached to this intersection. Okay. You know what? We redraw all of motorway number 3. I think this intersection down here got so kerfucky. Yeah, there was literally nowhere for the off-ramp to go anymore. Okay. That's why I couldn't move it. I couldn't move it because even if you're not moving the endpoint, the game still checks to see if the endpoint can exist. And if the endpoint can't exist, it won't let you put it there. That makes sense. All right. So, we've drawn motorway number 7. We've eliminated this roundabout. The concern would be that this takes so long to sort out that motorway number 3 doesn't come into existence again until after this business is doomed. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it's going to be close. Like, this business is going to get mad. There it is getting mad. But motorway number 3 just came into existence. Here comes a big flood of purple cars. I don't think this is doomed, but we're going to have to see. There's a whole lot of purple flooding in here. It is going to take its sweet-ass time. I think we're basically fine. I think this is basically fine. Yep, this appears to be basically fine. Okay. You are a light blue. You've gone circular. You've got like 85 houses already. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 7 houses. So I think you're basically okay. Good. This business here can probably go light blue if it wants to. Give me a 5th bridge rather than a 3rd roundabout. I don't think we're going to use either of those assets TBQH. All right. let's do a quick west to east roundup. It's been a while and everything's kind of okay. So this beigeness over here is supported by 3 7 houses, single straight shot road. Everything's basically cool. Okay. We're going to pause because I want to redraw this in such a manner there. We're just going to hook this beige road around and get a second light blue going here.
He is looking at you, Goog.
He is looking at me. Thank you, Sam. Samurai Sam with a 40th month in the Goog troop. 40 months. Thank you very much, Samurai Sam. Drop those Samurai Slams in the chat if you've got them, along with the rest of the lovely Tier 1 emotes. All of those emotes available for the low price of, I think it's $5.99 now. Incidentally, by the way, if you are a person who subscribes to Twitch channels via mobile apps, I encourage you not to do that. There are, it's always been a bit of an upcharge, and it's going to be a bit more of an upcharge. Twitch is raising the price for mobile subscriptions starting in October. It is free if you have Bezos Prime. That is true. But if you are a person who uses the Twitch mobile app and you're not just using it to enter your Amazon Prime information, if you're just buying subs over mobile, well, the reason, Sam, is that the app stores involved, the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, they have a surcharge, right? They take a cut of whatever revenues Twitch generates through the mobile app, and Twitch, rather than eating that cost, is passing it along to the consumer. So because you're using the mobile app and because Amazon or because Apple or Google will take a cut of that, Twitch is saying they want to get the same money, and so they're going to charge the customer more. That's shitty for the customer, but welcome to 2024. So, if you are a person who subscribes to a Twitch channel via your mobile app, don't do that. If you have to do it over your phone, if you don't have like a laptop or a desktop or something, you can just use the web browser on your phone to then go to the Twitch website and through the browser log into the website and subscribe that way. It's a weird, funky workaround, but it does save you money, which is a good thing. We're going to take a motorway here, and we're going to try to figure out how to save this dying business. Or, actually, I think all of the dark blues are mad right now because it's dark blue rush hour. So that's just a condition, right? That's just a state of play effect, for lack of a better term. It's going to be what it's going to be. I think, then, that the thing I should focus on saving is this over here. So these pinks like so. I'm gonna grab these 4 pinks because these are like the 7th through 10th pink houses supporting this pink square. No square needs 10 houses. I'm sorry. That, by the way, is an excellent wealth management strategy. That is how I would discourage tech geeks from investing in their real estate business. No square needs 10 houses. Title of the episode: fairly late in the day. No square needs 10 houses. Anyway, so since no square needs 10 houses, we're going to chop 4 of those houses away, and we're going to run motorway number 8 straight up here. Motorway number 8 is going to schlep all of these dudes up to this way. It's going to be fine. All of the dark blues are either gonna be fine or die, and there's only so much I can do about that. So, let's channel our inner badass lines from Final Fantasy VI and just say, Final Fantasy Tactics, and just say blame yourself or God. One of those. It's definitely one of those. These 2 purples over here, we're gonna run this. We're gonna have a perfectly cromulent traffic light to try to save this purple business while everything else dies. Everything else, it appears, is just gonna die. Hey look, everything else died. 3,909 commuters over 115 days. That feels like a pretty good score. I've seen worse scores than that. It's top 10% in the world. It is, in fact, better than Circle Master and Samurai Sam. Drop those GGs in the chat. Yaha. Victory, glory, and triumph for me, the _Goog. You love to see it. Let's bring in our very good friend, the Wordle, like so. Oh, and we mentioned earlier that AEW has, this is not the first time they've run the Casino Gauntlet match, although I will say this was probably the best Casino Gauntlet match. It was a really good wrestling match. It had a bunch of super fun, awesome surprise entrants, and also Kyle O'Reilly, who, God bless him, is a dude. But hey, you know, you do need some guys who are just a dude, and I feel like they had a good balance between guys who are just a dude and guys who actually rule. And listen, Kyle O'Reilly rules, but he's also just a dude. Anyway, my point is they've stolen the Royal Rumble, so we're gonna start with Royal. And we know that there's an A. All right. Kind of a shame that we didn't get more information there, but it's better. We're working on it now. It could be spate. There were a spate of dudes showing up. I don't know. All right, so we know that it's STA something. It could be steak. Yeah, it could be steak. Absolutely nothing saying that it's not, and in fact, it is. Hooray! Victory over the Wordle for me. Away goes the Don't Tell Me the Wordle answer text. In comes the Let's Do Connections. There's no text that says Let's Do Connections, but anyway. So, let's see here. We have, a bagel and a tire are round things with a hole in the middle. A lifesaver is a round thing with a hole in the middle. Hold on. Am I onto something here? A wreath! A bagel, a tire, a lifesaver, and a wreath. These are all round things with a hole in the middle. Yes! I'm sorry, Taurus-shaped No. They're not shaped like a powerful looking but actually mediocre normal type Pokemon. They're round things with a hole in the middle. I think Taurus is actually really good. I've never had a Taurus, so. Anyway. Let's see. We need blessing, support, approval, and consent. As Sam notes in the chat, this is all basically saying, yeah, you can do that thing. Go, do that thing. I officially sanction you doing that thing. But if you do a thing without permission, you will be officially sanctioned. English is a fucked up language. Oh, God. All right, let's see here. A slice, a whiff. God, maybe not. I was thinking like a piece, like, you know, a slice, a whiff, you get a sense of something, but I don't know. Actually, a slice, a hook, a whiff, and a shank are all bad things to do in golf. You did a bad golf thing. And then loaf, wade, sneak, and slip. I don't know. I feel like this is gonna be an annoying purple. What's this annoying purple? It's footwear minus the Loaf, slip, sneak, and wade, It's footwear. It's got the bud and the Y's, but not the So for today's strands, we will see you on the court. Okay, so do we have like basketball or hoops or, is it maybe tennis? Is tennis our spangram? No. Okay. For that matter, I don't even see tennis as a word. That's a shame. Good morning, high altitude buns. I see slam. And hero. I needed that. I see gross, which is just a word. what are we looking for here? It's a good question. To which I do not... Actually, wait a second. Could it be Grand Slam? Could be Grand Slam, right? Oh, no, this isn't actually... Yeah, this is actually Slam. D... I don't think it's actually Grand Slam. It's close. But maybe I was coming at it from the wrong place. Oh, I was. GR... There it is. Grand Slam. There's our freaking Spangram. I was just looking at it down here because I saw like the R and the N and the D, and I was trying to get Rand Slam over here, but no, you had to get it up that away. Anyway, here's Love and Smash. It's a thing you can do in tennis. This is all tennis stuff. Tennis racket, and you've got volley and serve over here. Come on, game. There you go. Well done. And you can slice. You can do that in tennis. It's a bad tennis thing, too. Sam, I believe they're interchangeable. I could be wrong about that. I could absolutely be wrong about that. And there's forehand for the very last word. That is a perfect game of strands. Good job. That is like the ideal strands for the _Goog. You get the Spangram first, and then you fill out the rest of the thing. Very happy to always do that. And lastly today, we need, for the Immaculate Grid, Yankees, Athletics, and Orioles, and White Sox, and Tigers, and Dudes What Played First Base. Racket with a K, says High Altitude Buns, is the standard American spelling of the word for sports equipment used in games like tennis, badminton, and racquetball. Racket with a CQ is an alternative spelling, more common in Britain and Australia, which was influenced by Old English, en français. Guess it would be a français, not en français. Anyway, so a dude who played for the Orioles and Tigers is Eduardo Rodriguez. I think he actually played for the Orioles. He debuted for them before he made it to the Red Sox, right? Wrong! He was an Orioles prospect, and then they traded him to the Red Sox, and then he debuted for the Red Sox. Son of a bitch. Oh well. Yeah, good start, says Sam. Thank you, Sam. Thank you so very much. Baltimore Oriole who played first base is, they probably stuck Jim Thome there at some point.
What? Never? Not one single time? Really? Interleague play was a thing?
Son of a crap Crockett. Larry Bigby was an outfielder. BJ Surhoff. God. Anger. Oakland A, who played first base, they put this guy in a movie. There was a whole thing about it. By the way, it's very funny. It's very funny to watch the movie Moneyball and realize this whole movie is built around making let's go get a random middle reliever and let's stick this mediocre backup catcher at first base, right? And if you watch the movie Moneyball, it seems like let's go get this random middle reliever and let's stick this random backup catcher at first base are the things that won the Oakland A's 20 games in a row. They're not. The Oakland A's had three of the best starting pitchers in baseball and the literal American League MVP. I've seen in bits and pieces and TikTok the movie Moneyball front to back 3 times. I don't think I've heard the word Tejada a single goddamn time in the entire utterance of the movie Moneyball. But hey, you do you, Michael Lewis, you blindside parents supporting fuck. Anyway, a New York Yankee who played first base is Tino Martinez, no relation. Dude who played for the Yankees and Tigers is Cecil Fielder. Dude who played for the Yankees and White Sox is Jack McDowell. There's no K in McDowell. There's no backslash in McDowell. And a dude who played for the Orioles and the White Sox is James Howard Thom. This has been an immaculate grid. It was not a particularly good one, it must be said. I've done better. Hopefully, I will do better tomorrow. That is, after all, if we actually do a Gimmim tomorrow. The schedule says we will. So Moneyball was originally a book written by Michael Lewis, and then it got adapted into a movie starring Brad Pitt. And it's a fine movie. I've never seen the book. I've never read the book, rather. But hopefully, here's the deal, folks. Tonight, I have a job. Specifically, I have a job in the dead geographic center of the state of New York, covering a town hall meeting. Which means I'm probably not getting home until sometime after midnight, which means it's up in the air whether or not I actually feel like doing anything tomorrow morning. But if I do, we'll be back tomorrow morning for another edition of Good Morning Mini Motorways. And if not, well, schedule's on screen. We will see you some point tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you, as always, for watching. Take care. Bye-bye. About the way you followed these directions. It's a goddamn Christmas Carol, Pearl! I love this game. I love this fucking game.